Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Dave Neal, stand-up comic host of Bachelor Nation News and the Rush Hour podcast. And I am seasonal. It is seasonal holiday season, Dave. And I want to hear from you guys in the comment section as we get this party started. I'll be joined by good friend of the program, Megan Fox, to discuss the What the Hales case. Now, I've been predominantly a channel seeking justice in the Bachelor universe, but there are a lot of people that follow the channel now that enjoy other criminal cases, one of which is going to be discussed, which is What the Hales. It is a YouTube channel that, and again, I will have Megan on to correct me where I'm wrong here. A very, very successful YouTuber who does like storage wars style finds. He does auctions and finds, storages and opens them up. Very fascinating stuff, money and safes and things like that. He is in a crazy lawsuit in Florida and I guess Ohio with a former fan of his, a fan that is, I guess, moved in next to him. I mean, this is my wife's worst nightmare. So we'll have all of that. I'll get the full. I want to get the full story from Meg, beginning to end, the Spark Notes 20-minute version, and we're also going to discuss Laura Owens, her shenanigans, never ending. Now, as far as will we be buckling it up today, I'll say this: there's information I will dribble to you by blinking my eyelids that I can't share publicly, just because sources that tell me things. They almost need like a getaway car. So when somebody tells me something, I can't relay that right away. It might be too obvious where my sources come from. But I will say this: we have sources in the Justice Department and in the casita. Yes, that's right. People within the movement that may be indicting her, and also people in the same household. Now, that doesn't mean her family members. It just means first degree from the family, or in whichever way you might think is possible. Could that be an in-law? I'm not saying at all. Morse code. No. So we'll get into all that. How's everybody doing? Erica said, is your source her dog? Bow wow, ruff, ruff. Yes, I am the dog whisperer. The dog snitcher. Wouldn't that be funny? You ever see that baked beans commercial? Roll that beautiful bean footage. And he's like, only the dog knows the recipe. And then the dog like talks and he's like, well, we got a problem. The call is coming from within the casita. The source is a horse. Nay, I say to that, nay. Giddy up though. Strap on in. This is a spur of the moment conversation. So we'll get into some of that. What I can tell you, her attorney claims she's renewing her order of protection against Greg Gillespie. His camp hasn't seen any of that, and I don't know if that's true. It would probably be bad for her right now to reorder an order of protection during a time in which she's being investigated. Bush's beans are made in Tennessee. Oh, good to know. Didn't know that. Roll that beautiful bean footage. I upgraded my microphone cover. I had a different one. So when you don't have, here's what happens when you don't have the mic cover. You can get those plosive sounds, those popping sounds. You can pop your pomegranate in the party, whatever. But when you have this on, oh boy, you can talk about anything you want with crispy, clear audio. I have to say, her attorney's audio pretty good. I mean, the guy, call him what you want, but clearly he knows how to rip off what works on YouTube. And pretty soon he'll be kind of living that hypocritical life where he becomes, I'm not anticipating, nor do I care if he loses his bar license. I truly could care less, or I couldn't care less. But if he does, the first thing he should do is try to make a career on YouTube. Now, the only problem is, the only thing interesting about him to our universe is this court case. And the second Laura tells him, I don't want you talking about this publicly. He's done. He's attached to her. He's literally the only person who doesn't have First Amendment rights, right? Can someone in the comment section tell me that? Now, he's got First Amendment rights, but with regard to this case, if she says attorney-client privilege, stop talking, even if she's not paying him, he's agreed to be her attorney. Yeah, we had to get this after Augie just really assaulted. My son just took the other mic. I mean, look, I'll show you. I think I saved it. Look at this thing. This thing is just beat to hell. This is the old one. Look how crusty it is. You can kind of stick your finger through it right there. Doo-doo. If this were a condom, Laura would not, you'd be pregnant. Like, this is not what you want. So that's gone. And we got the bigger one. Lauren said, hi, Henrietta. Henrietta's in the house. Yeah, so we're going to discuss what the Hales, which is a case that apparently is going to be going on throughout 2025. So I do want to get involved. And for other reasons, and actually, I'm going to share with you guys some exclusive stuff. Let me ask the comment section. Thank you for, like the sweater. Thank you. Who in the comment section is following the What the Hales case? Because I actually have exclusive information that I'm not going to be sharing right now from an attorney that was actually asking me to cover the case. Maybe I will share it. So a lawyer reaches out to me and tries to share why he thinks my friends are in the wrong with regards to this court case. Now, mind you, I have not talked about the court case at all. Isn't it wild, having not talked about the court case at all, that an attorney would ask me to cover it? So let me share with you guys what he said. I'm trying to screen grab this so that I don't share his personal info. And again, I don't know anything about this guy. He could be a good guy, but you could probably say the same thing about Gingras. Like, he could be a good guy if he wasn't, so intertwined into, whatever his client wants him to think. All right. So let's see what we have here. Jen said, oh no, that's Lynette's lawyer. Yes, that is. So the other side's lawyer has contacted me, but what better, and when Meg comes along, we'll talk to her about it. What better way for me to be objective than to hear both sides of the story? I'm assuming Meg and Tug are on the right side of the story because they're pretty fair people. And if I thought they weren't, I would tell her. I'd say, oh boy, this is, I could understand why X, Y, and Z or this and that. Now, from the limited knowledge I have, and for the fact that it seems all the YouTubers are on their side, it seems as though that's the right side. I just don't know anything about the case. Jen said, what court case? So there's two things we're going to talk about today. The first, Laura Owens, and the second is a different court case that we're going to start discussing. My goal is to start doing Friday live streams at the very least. Now, if live streams start to do well, we might do more of them. The Bachelor news that I do, that not everyone here is into, will be incorporated in the Rush Hour podcast moving forward, starting in 2025. The Rush Hour podcast will also be on YouTube. So YouTube is really investing in how it presents itself on TV. YouTube is actually watched more on TV than Netflix. So they're cleaning it up. And my content has always been mealtime length videos, 10, 15 minute long videos. Yeah, sometimes longer when it's this stuff. But what I'll be doing with the podcast is 2 25-minute episodes. So I'll be treating it more like a half-hour TV show, which I think is going to be really good in the long term for YouTube. To be quite honest, I think it's genius. I'm calling myself genius. But I also think in the short term, people might not understand what it is. Kitty Meow said, Megan and Tug sent me. Do you mean from today? Did they send you from today? So anyhow, we're gonna have Meg join us very briefly in a little bit. She can come if she's watching. She can feel free to jump in whenever she wants. But in the meantime, I've got some stuff to get into. So here is. Let's go to this tweet here. We're going to cover what Laura Owens said yesterday. So, seeking justice for all victims of Laura Owen at Clayton's Justice posted. Laura now admits she knew she was not pregnant on October 16th with a viable pregnancy. In her new Medium article, yet still doctored the results to convince Dave Neal she was still actually pregnant. Yeah. So what's crazy about this is we exposed this yesterday, although you guys have known this, for a long time, that she claimed she was pregnant and like really doing her thing when, when she tried to sue me. So that's, I'm trying to see if I have that piece of content. They posted this. This is the most probably the most offensive part of Laura's latest victim manifesto. Acting like no one else in this community can possibly understand the devastation and crippling effects of mental health struggles. Yes, Laura, I have been there, and so have many others in the community. There is a significant reason why so many of us have united in advocating for justice for the men you have abused as you cosplay and exploit tragic life events, such as DV, SA, pregnancy, miscarriage, loss, abortion, cancer, autism, to garner sympathy. In doing so, you insult the people who have gone through these experiences, and it is infuriating and enraging to witness. Stuffy said, I still don't think she has been pregnant ever. Yeah, I mean, like, who knows? Maybe she has, but in these cases, it's like clearly she hasn't. She says, if you're part of Justice for Clayton and salivating to pick this apart, because I know you will, you've just proven you've never had to break your life down into 5-minute chunks just to survive. That's your privilege. Hold it tight. Whisper thank you to it. And then get out of the way of those who are fighting, clawing, bleeding for every breath, just like I have. I have to share something right here. We've been promoting single moms in our community, and this isn't a burn. This is not a burn at Laura. We've done this for years before we knew she existed. We have single moms in our community struggling to put food on their table. We've got single moms who have told their kids, Santa might not come this year. And what did you guys do? I need to be dramatic here. What did you guys do? You came together. You came together to help people. You're not a bad community. You're not a bad community at all. Here's another example of they had a Christmas tree set up for their teen daughter, and they put things on, ornaments under the tree, and it's just like, this is incredible. This is incredible. I've got a dozen of these stories right here. So when she tries to do things and say things like, you're a cruel people, you don't understand what it's like. Trust me when I say this. The lived experience that everyone has is different, but it is full of adversity. And the people in our community, for the most part, found this case because it was insulting to the life they lived. People that led an honest life. I mean, sadly, a lot of the people in our community that have had presents and, gifts raised for them come from relationships that they had to get out of with a small baby because there was, abuse or whatever, financial manipulation and other things happening. And even one person wrote in and said, oh my gosh, your community, Dave, has done more for me than my actual community. And that's on you guys. So it's just a reminder that we have to make to know that there is good that can come from people that have had struggles. And most of the audience that I know that has given gifts to the people in our community have done so because they have struggled. And now maybe they're in a better place with abundance. And you understand what it's like. Like, you understand what it's like to when a bill comes along that you just couldn't pay. You get a speeding ticket and you're like, oh my gosh, I literally cannot pay a speeding ticket right now. A speeding ticket to a wealthy person is just a tax. It's like, all right, cool, $200, here you go. But to someone who's living paycheck to paycheck, that's devastating. It's the difference between Christmas and not Christmas. So anyway, just an example of some of the amazing work that has gone on in our community, and it will continue to go on, not because Laura existed, but because we come together and we do the right thing. So this was shared. If you didn't catch the video, this was shared by my channel, I think yesterday or the day before, which is the restraining order she tried to get against me. Because her lawyer, said, well, her lawyer was like, well, she never thought she was going to have the baby. That's why she never sought care. Okay, I'm glad that's your story du jour. But the truth is, on November 1st, she was saying that, my conduct, as a result of Mr. Neal's conduct, I've experienced extreme anxiety, depression, and increased stress, which is the last thing I need while being pregnant with twins. So at this point, she knows she has twins, and he's saying, well, she just felt like she has twins. Well, I just feel like you're a shitty lawyer, That's my opinion. Don't need an ultrasound to tell you that. So either way, this kind of reignited people that have found the case more recently to say, oh my gosh, she was claiming she was pregnant. And I've had lawyers message me, things that people just, they sort of forget, and they go, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Yeah. And what am I supposed to do about it? And if anyone in the comment section has any advice, let me know. What am I supposed to do about the fact that she lied in documents that were filed in the Superior Court of California to silence me? Do I come after her, or do we just use this for future fodder when she tries to sue for whatever she has left up her sleeve? So let's go to a few other things that she said. Let me see here. I'll go back to this page here. Go to a few more things that she said regarding our community. Overwhelmed and desperate. And again, this is what she wrote yesterday. Overwhelmed and desperate, I made a choice I'll always regret. On October 16th, 2023, I sent him, Dave Neal, my positive blood HCG pregnancy test results. Clear proof that I was pregnant. But in a moment of panic, I tampered with the results, inflating the numbers in a desperate attempt to make him stop. Can't you see that I'm pregnant? You're destroying me. Please stop. I'm sure she felt that way, but the truth was, I'm going to rewrite it. Can't you see I'm not getting my way? Please stop. A petulant child being told no for the first time. In other cases, when she's told no, she gets lawsuits against people. She smears them. She serves them their restraining orders at their place of work. When she served Greg Gillespie, I think she did it at his company holiday party. When she, so he now has to wait to see if she's going to find a time to serve him. That's going to, inflict the most damage. Ariane said, this is all unraveling. Please stop. Panic about being caught in lies. Henrietta said the same thing. Petulant child, never told no, never held accountable. Stephanie said, why inflate it? If 102 was pregnant, then just send that. Well, she inflated it because it, wasn't real. But it's interesting, she's had a full year. She's had a full year to think about this fraud, which makes it very interesting because, it's like, just because she's had a full year to think about the fraud doesn't mean she's come up with great excuses. But it's fascinating. It's fascinating because her lawyer says she never intended to have the babies. Well, then what's this all about? Your browser has lost connection to your screen share audio. I don't know what that means. Can you guys hear me okay? As long as you guys can hear me okay. Double check that you can. Christine said, who the hell has an HCG test for a pregnancy? Every woman in the world goes to the doctor. Well, she wasn't planning on keeping the baby, except for the fact that and by the way, she didn't have the balls or ovaries to send this. She made an Instagram post, screen grabbed it, sent it to Clayton, and said, if you don't do what I want you to do, then I'm going to post this. That's, I'm sorry. In my view, that's psychotic. So when you look at all these things, she says, oh, I was desperate, right? I was desperate. That's why I did it. Can't you see I'm pregnant? Well, then how come she never told us the truth? How come I was forced to figure this all out? The thing she says now is, I never shared this document with the court system. Okay. But you claimed you were pretty pregnant when you tried to sue me. So if you never shared this with the court system, she did that thing that like she thinks she's walking the ethical line and she's not, because this is wrong, because this is medical fraud. She tried to convince me, who has been the largest platform covering this case, right? She tried to convince me this was her level. And to be quite honest, it's pretty good. Maybe there's a few things that are off here, like the format's off a tiny bit, things. But as far as the color goes and this and that, I wouldn't have known this wasn't hers, except for the fact that she finally was forced to submit the actual evidence. So this is the world she lives in, right? We know this. This is not new information. The world she lives in is she'll take something real like this and she'll bend it in a way that it's fake like that. And I guess justify it. So a full year ago, and this is really funny. So I'm putting together my one-man show. And I'm re-looking at things. And can I share something crazy with you guys? I'm going to share something crazy. Give me a second. Do you guys want to see something crazy? Here, give me a second. I'm going to pull this up. Hold on. We're pulling up crazy. I'm going to pull up something that's never been seen before, just for you guys. Give me a second here. Do 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 bom 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 bom. In the middle, you can do do do. I'm going to share with you guys. So this is the type of coercion that went on. I think this is fair to share. Are you guys okay with this? And I appreciate the super chats, but I'll share this with you guys. This is early on, and this is not what she wanted to get out there. This is the first email I ever received from her. I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe this is the first one. It's titled "The Truth," right? And she says, "Hi, Dave. I know I don't need to be doing this." And boy, is she right. I'm like, you really don't. She says, "I know I don't need to be doing this, but I was offended on the podcast when you tried to make me come off." Hold on. Sketchy. Hold on. Trying to get this all in frame here. So anyway, I guess I was making her come off as sketchy. I don't know. She says, "Here are the emails that were sent to Clayton when I was finally able to get a hold of the circulating documents." These circulating documents that she's referring to are the documents that were the Greg Gillespie and Mike Maricini. Someone said, "Is your one-man show going to be called All the Best?" I don't know, Meredith. I don't know, but I'm thinking about doing something with Chase J. Jones, because I can sell Chase J. Jones merchandise because they don't exist. I can't sell Laura Owens merchandise. I can't use someone else's likeness and profit from it without their permission, but I sure as hell can sell Chase J. Jones. And again, maybe I won't, but either way, she says, "Here are the emails that were sent to Clayton when I was finally able to get a hold of the circulating documents. They include all the arguments as to why what he is circulating is an absolute joke. Please don't contact the two men, Michael Maricini and Greg Gillespie, or mention their names, as I do have restraining orders against them." Okay, hold on. Don't mention their names because I have restraining orders against them, as if mentioning their names is going to go, and they're going to just go over there and harass her. Wild stuff. These are obviously for your eyes only, but I do think it was worthwhile for me to reach out so that you can be fully informed going forward. All the best. Now, we would love to be fully informed going forward. We would love that, right? Yes, this is dated September 27th. Never forget. And so these documents are fascinating. This one, so she's sending Clayton documents to prove that she didn't, I guess, fabricate legal letterheads. She's kind of sharing her side of the case with Greg Gillespie. And I mean, there isn't too much, now that you've been informed of the truth and seen everything in context, you will need to retract the statements you made about these nearly identical cases. So this is in response to the fact that Clayton said that he learned early on there were identical cases, which identical is a tough word because it's like, well, what's identical, right? The identical part is that these men all say that they've had fake pregnancy scams. That's pretty much the identical part. The specifics look different. So what we have here in the third document. So she basically says like, she tells Clayton, don't contact them. She tells me, don't contact them. Man, I'm feeling like we should probably contact them. Now, of course, it's good we did. Jen said, Chasing Jane Doe featuring Chase J. Jones should be called Meth Creek. So yeah, we've got Megan Fox in the chat. So here she is. Ladies and gentlemen, good pal, the seasonal holiday. You got that that big lion's mane hair today. It's Megan Fox. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I can hear you, but I've got something going on.
Here, let me get it closer to my face.
No. I'm hearing you through my other setup, which is my fault. So let's move that. Okay, you should be good.
Okay. How's that?
Good on my end. Is it good for the chat? So
testing.
Were you listening at all, or did you just pop in?
No, I was on the phone, so I missed whatever it is we were talking about. What are we talking about?
Were you on the phone with David Gingras? That's secret.
No, definitely not.
No, I was
talking to Tug.
Yeah. How's everything good?
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah, we're planning our new takeover of YouTube. Tug and I are going to take over YouTube. It's going to be our space from now on.
You guys going to create a channel together?
We're thinking about it. We're talking about it. Yeah.
Nice.
We are going to have a show together, an actual show that we do every week, maybe more than once a week. We'll see. We're planning it out. It's taking a while to figure out the details. It's going to be fun.
I was talking to the audience about why I'm reformatting my podcast to be on YouTube. And part of it is that YouTube's more watched on people's TVs than Netflix. Did you know that?
I wouldn't doubt it. I barely watch Netflix anymore myself. I'm on YouTube all the time watching my favorite creators.
Yeah, YouTube's going to be sort of reformatting its interface so that on TVs it kind of presents more like episodic and serial. And I was actually looking for yoga to do with my wife and baby because, boy, are we out of shape, let me tell you.
Oh, me too. Oh my God. I've gained 5 pounds since the holidays and I haven't done any walking. Everything's just getting flabby. No.
Yeah.
I'm working out again.
Well, you should do our yoga class. So I pick my yoga class on YouTube. I look for the sexiest person. I'm like, they must know what they're doing. And it's always like some 20-year-old telling you how they keep their body fit. And it's like, okay, easy 20. Like I need like
easy
battle 60-year-old to tell me how they keep their body fit.
Exactly.
But I noticed the rollout started to happen where everyone's content's different, but on some channels, it really does. You can really make the graphics look like you're watching like someone's Netflix show. And so for me, having my podcast on YouTube, it'll be something where someone can just hit the button and it'll play all, if you like what I do, it'll be a much better user interface. So that's cool. My goal is to like move away from all of the random 8 to 15 minute videos and just give people more format. And, I might lose people that way, but I just feel like it's going to be easier for me because, as you know, I'm in a padded wall right now of my insane asylum trying to make it all happen here.
I know. It's tough to figure it all out, but, it's good to keep moving forward, trying new things.
And it changes, like what worked in the pandemic isn't necessarily what's going to work now. People are in their car more and people are, moving around and and during the pandemic, it was easy for people to just be plopped on the couch and watching content. But yeah, it changes and we have to just keep changing with it. Speaking of changing with it, Laura's done a good job of adapting over the times, right? I was just showing people never before seen documents. This is from the first set of emails she ever sent me. But here's the interesting thing. This is just fun. This is an email she sent to Clayton on September 26th. So at this point, this is the day before she first emailed me, and she was really trying to get them to stop talking about Mike and Greg. So you can see she says, if you are choosing to listen to, talk to, or follow on social media and get more false information from Greg, Ashley, and Mike, you will be sued. You have no rights to circulate these documents. But she included these attachments to me. And when you click on them, it all still works. So
oh my gosh,
she's still sharing her private text messages publicly about and again, they're things that really are all cherry picked. So it's nothing super important, but I was just going through them. just to see that like how she has a case file on every one of her men, and how like a whole year ago she was still in the season where she was using this to try to still coerce people to like believe her. And I think
It's
she was able to
terrible.
do up until us. I think she was able to that was as far as her MO ever had to go, was just showing people cherry pick screen grabs.
I got to tell you, I'm shocked that she's still going, that she's still posting stuff on Medium and trying to that her stories just never line up. It's changing every day. So the FBI comes to check on her for the wellness check. People are concerned you're going to hurt yourself. Oh no, I'm not going to hurt myself. I'm fine. I'm fine. And now she writes a thing. I'm not fine. I'm barely surviving 5 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
It just doesn't add up. Laura, you got to stop this.
Yeah.
And the fact that her attorney lets her keep doing this is just, it's outrageous to me.
Have you updated your belief as to if he believes her? Like, have you changed what you think about, like, where are you right now? Do you think
he doesn't believe her? No one believes her. Are you kidding? There's no way he believes her. He's just doing his job as an attorney is supposed to do. He's deflecting. He's, trying to gaslight people. He's doing his job to try and get her out of trouble, but he's doing a bad job. It's making it worse.
I also think he has to double down on that belief, because his credibility, like it's almost better for him to be unwavering than to admit that he was like having doubts, I guess. Because maybe from the outs from like if you're not looking into this case and you're just trying to hire a lawyer, you'll just see, hey, it's a pregnancy, you won't know what it actually is, which it's not really even though it was in family court, it's not that, right? It's fraud. Do you read the fact where she tried to explain why she altered the evidence to me? Did you read that part?
I think so, but this is ridiculous too.
She said, I wasn't trying to deceive anyone, but over here she says, she explains that she was in a panic and tampered with the results. So it's just like,
but no, this is the part above that is what bothers me. On October 16th, I sent him my positive blood HCG pregnancy test results, clear proof that I was pregnant. No, it wasn't. That was clear proof that you weren't pregnant, and you know it because she admitted that in court. She admitted to knowing that, and there's no reason she would have changed that number unless she knew what the original number meant, which meant not pregnant.
Yeah.
It did not mean pregnant. For her stage of pregnancy, it meant not pregnant. And she knew that.
I guess this counts for her as the shadow of a doubt, where she can, and this is exactly what Gingras wanted to hold on to, which was like, he wanted to hold on to the fact that it says, well, it does say 102. So they'll take this evidence, but then the little to no fetal DNA. I would love to see, when it comes to the little to no fetal DNA, all they show is that they little to no. But I'd love to see what that number actually is. Like, is it 0.00? Like, is it do they go to the 6 decimal level and they couldn't find it? Like, because isn't that important to find out? Like, I'm sure the test doesn't come back from RavGen where it just says little to no fetal DNA. It didn't get into their threshold where they could determine that there was DNA. Well, what did that number actually say?
Yeah, it would be nice to know. But I'm pretty sure if I took one of those tests right now, there would be fetal DNA.
That's
because I've had 3, and allegedly that fetal DNA stays in your body like forever. So I don't think that it could possibly be that she's ever been pregnant with a little to no fetal DNA reading.
Do you think do you think Tasha would be okay if I bought her a RavGen test for Christmas?
You should see what the reading would be. Yeah, it would be really interesting.
Not what you think. I know the baby's mine because he's cute, and
just to see what the reading would turn out to be. Would be
might do that. I received information. I have to tell you this. Can I text you something privately right here? The audience is going to hate this, but I think the only way to share this is if I get your reaction. How do I go to the here? Let me go to the private chat. Source in
the chat. Just hang in there, chat. I'm sure it'll all come out eventually.
All right, I just sent it to you.
Oh Lord.
It's not surprising, but it's
Mm-mm.
like this is a high up source. So it's a high up source offering illustration as to the sort of it's kind of like a Wizard of Oz type of thing, right? Where like the Wizard of Oz wants you to believe there's this big bad steampunk operation that runs everything, and then Toto, our nice little lapdog here, from this hipster chick who rides her bike, causing all this trouble. Toto kicks down the curtain and realizes it's all made up. And I
Right.
think the source that I have has shown us that there's nothing. It's all bark and no bite coming out of the household.
I think we've kind of seen that coming for a while, though. I think there's been a lot of indications that that's the case. But I also think it's strange that what did he tweet out the other day? Jingy tweeted out something totally ridiculous, changing Laura's story completely now. Again, he tweeted out something like, she never intended to have the baby. So you wouldn't go to a OBGYN if you weren't going to have the babies. And it's like, whoa, does he know this story at all? Or is he just making stuff up as he goes along? She did intend to have the babies. She wanted to have she was saying, if you don't date me, I'm having the babies. And she said it how many times? And then she would send emails about, this stress is not good for me and the babies.
Well, that's why.
If these babies are born with problems, it's going to be your fault.
That's why I brought back my case, because at that point she was still saying you're doing harm to my unborn twins. So now he says, yeah, they never knew they were boy-girl twins. She only believed that, like she only had a hunch that they were boy-girl twins. I mean, it's absolutely banana land what they're trying to like claim here. So yeah, I mean, it's like and then he says something like, well, I think we should stop talking about it so that it'll go away. And it's like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. We've been happy to move on, He
keeps saying, I'm not going to make any more videos for a while. And the very next day, he posts a preview of him making another video in a Santa suit.
Sarah says, prove no fragments present. Signed, a biochem PhD. Sarah, can you tell me the process? Do you know what you're looking for when you're looking for fetal DNA? Is that what you're talking about, Sarah, with fragments present? Fragments of DNA? I mean, you could look I'm pretty sure they can find fetal DNA in your fingernails, right? Isn't your fingernail the longest like part of your body that holds on to like your genetics?
Jeez, I have no idea.
You have hair and fingernail because they can find DNA out of those, and the DNA tells a story. And Sarah said, look up, Dave. So I guess I got to look up here. Maybe they're discussing it.
Yeah, why file a parenting plan if you're not planning to have babies? It's absurd. So then he just now admits that she absolutely did commit fraud because she wasn't planning on having babies, but she took him to court anyway. Just to what? To torture him?
And the dating contract that she wanted him to sign would have given him full control over whether or not they have kids. Because she knows if he doesn't sign the contract that she's not going to have the kids anyway, right? She knows there are no kids. So it's kind of like I don't want to call it a win-win for her because she hasn't won at all here, but she kind of framed it in a way where she knew these things weren't going to happen in the first place. Look, I want to like them. I want to enjoy stuff like this. I like, okay, cool.
So Jewish, by the way.
Oh yeah, really? Just the Jewish heritage here is
Jewish heritage is just off the charts.
These are new Hanukkah socks that they have. I don't know if you knew.
Hanukkah socks.
Have you never? Oh, are you trying to gaslight me? Have you never seen Hanukkah socks?
Yes, I've heard all about.
It's a very special 12 days of socks that they light them. They light them at the toe, and they pack them full of matzah on the inside.
This is the most Jewish Christmas I ever saw in my whole life.
Yeah, well, you got to be inclusive. So, look, I want to like the guy, right? I promise no more videos. Well, I never go back on a promise. So here he is, like, okay, I like it. It's just because you know why? You know why, Meg? I'm happy with my life. I don't need someone else. Like, I don't need their demise. I'm just like a real I'm like a real stickler. I'm like a teacher who's a real stickler for penmanship and for grammar. And I'm gonna cross your T's and dot your I's. So until the day I die, I will be correcting their story. If they want to share a story publicly that's not the truth, I will correct it. I don't care if I'm a Oscar winning whatever. I'm gonna in my Oscar speech, I'm gonna say, and by the way, Laura claims, I'm gonna tell the truth. Like, that's all we can do is tell the truth. So Sarah said, Dave, little to no fetal DNA means that they couldn't amplify a fragment. Since they don't test your entire 5 liters of blood, they can't say no. They have to say little to no. However, subsequent negative tests. So yeah, I guess you'll never get a no. But my question for Sarah is there a number that's attached to that little to no? Like, is there a number that, like, because we have here with the HCG test, right? On the HCG test, we have the ability to look at what they find is the limit. So they can say if it's if it's less than 4, milliliter, whatever whatever the hell that means, then not pregnant. If it's more than 10, maybe it's or if it's less than 10, post, whatever. So is there a limit?
But if you are saying that you're 5 months pregnant and this is the result you get, you are not pregnant.
Totally. But that's what's so funny is these tests don't even sort of manage that, because no one in their right mind would ever get an HCG test, let alone 5 months into a pregnancy. So it's right. Like, this is for like clearly first month, first trimester kind of deal.
Right.
So yeah, anyhow, as far as anything concerning this case, I actually wanted to introduce What the Hales to my audience. We have 1,100 people in the chat. And here's my pitch real quick before people leave. And maybe you know what? How about this? I'll give some more Clayton tea at the end of the What the Hales thing, just to keep people sticking around. But this court case is fascinating, but it's been like, I can understand how people don't follow the Clayton Eckerd case because it's so much information. I feel that way about the What the Hales case.
Yes.
So rather than
I'm going to be working on a series of like maybe 4 TLDR videos in 15-minute segments so I can catch people up, because it's very complicated. There are 3 lawsuits now, but just as a basic, quick understanding, Jeremy Hales has a channel called What the Hales. It is a huge YouTube channel. He has over 700,000 subscribers. They are treasure hunters, him and his girlfriend, George. They go to, they buy storage units and they resell the items there. They teach people how to be fun employed and how to, work for yourselves. They're very interesting and fun people. They're very successful. They've made a big career on YouTube.
Yeah, they're fascinating. I actually, when I found out about this case, started watching their content because I think as humans, we just love to see people find things. We love the voyeuristic aspect of storage wars, but like just the idea they might find, a sack of cash and it's so interesting. And they can make these nice long videos where they just go through people's things,
opening boxes and like, look. Yeah. And the interesting thing about the Hales channel is they really make their own content. It's really like, we sit here, I read articles and talk about my opinion on them. They're out there making this content, like buying a storage unit, filming themselves opening the boxes. It's a lot of work, by the way. That's a lot of work. It's a huge full-time thing. So he was very successful, but he also does a lot of philanthropy. He was doing like Christmas giveaways. He spent almost $1 million on giveaways in one Christmas thing. Like, amazing what they do, giving away, like kind of like what you do, when you're doing your fundraisers for single moms and stuff. They do a lot of that stuff.
And I got to tell you, with an audience, his audience is 10 times my size. With an audience of my size, and I'm sure you as well, I've seen some crazies in my audience. Now, most people aren't, but what is like 1 out of 100 people are a psychopath or whatever it is.
Yeah. So this is the scary part. And this is why it is so important that other YouTubers and content creators pay attention to this story, because this is going to affect everybody on YouTube. It's going to affect all creators. The outcome of these lawsuits is epic. So Jeremy and George are basically saying, we moved to Otter Creek in Florida. They wanted to get a bigger space for their to house a lot of their items that they have to resell. So they needed like a headquarters where they could package things. It's like a little packaging unit. They bought a schoolhouse where they're doing like packaging and stuff. And they advertised this on their YouTube channel that they were moving to Otter Creek for winters, because they're in Ohio most of the time. And then for winter, they're going to be in Otter Creek in Florida. And they advertised that. They made it known because they've never had a problem like this before. They have people come and visit them where they are. Like they're known, and their fans come, and they have big events. They invite their fans to. They have like big, come and meet the Hales things, And now their lives are entirely changed because they moved to Otter Creek. And Jeremy says that one of his fans who got obsessed with him just stalked them to Otter Creek, found a piece of property right across the street from them, bought that piece of property. And then she and her ex-husband, who live on this property, started trying to grift on him and get access to their audience. After I did a ton of research too, I did all this research on these two people and what they've been up to before they met Jeremy Hales. I am now finding that they did this in other places. They did this to other people. They've been grifting using GoFundMe's, and on this woman is over 60 years old. She adopted a baby during COVID. She adopted a baby who has what she says are medical needs. She's got GoFundMe's for the adoption, GoFundMe's for the medical things, GoFundMe's for everything to pay for this kid. They're always claiming that they're destitute. They don't have jobs. They're always moving from one place to another. And as soon as they came from Northport, Florida, what I just found out is as soon as they got, started to get exposed and people were calling CPS and getting, worried about this kid, they picked up and moved to Otter Creek, and they started doing this to Jeremy. And there's not even a house across the street, Bruce. It was a garbage dump, and they're living.
Do they get do you think they're getting government money for having a disabled kid or
Absolutely.
something?
Yes. It's on their statement, that she's had to submit to court.
Because these are, there's obviously I love that the fact that if you have a kid, if you're a foster parent or whatever, that the state is going to help you. I love those incentives.
Of course.
But people will take those incentives and then abuse them. And
well, in Iowa years ago in 2006, I think, I'm working on a timeline. She had custody of a stepdaughter and who she took from her father. And that stepdaughter eventually got taken away by CPS for abuse. I've read the court documents. So the court documents show that she was severely abused, both physically and mentally. And I talked to her. I talked to Ashley, who's now an adult, who confirmed all of this and gave me the paperwork. Gosh. So she already had CPS involved in her life back in 2006. And now she's got this other baby. Well, this property that she bought across the street from Jeremy Hales is on a garbage dump. It was a garbage dump. There's nothing there. They started building a barn dominium, but it wasn't livable. She's living in a shed, like a Home Depot shed, that she has the baby in. She's 4 now. The baby is 4, turning 5. And in the Florida heat, this is not a shed for human living. CPS has been out there 28 times and hasn't done a darn thing about it. But the scary thing is that these two have both threatened Jeremy Hales. They've threatened George. John Cook's pulled a gun on Jeremy a couple of times. He's pulled a gun on other people in Otter Creek, and nothing ever happens. Nothing ever happens to them. And one of the reasons is Jeremy's a very bombastic character. He got involved in local politics. These two were involved in local politics too, and fights ensued. And of course, he films everything.
I feel like when you're a bombastic character, the wrong judge, the wrong Arizona State Bar lawyers, the wrong people will look at that as you're a punk. But
yep,
it's welcome to 2024.
Yeah, no, they've chalked it up to, this is YouTube drama. None of it's real. And Jeremy is just an exaggerator. That's how the law is looking at it. The sheriff will not protect him, not even when a guy pulls a gun on him or threatens him. There are written threats.
And YouTube is our body cam footage.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube is the thing that protects us from people sharing the wrong story or misremembering. It's our way of saying sunlight's the greatest disinfectant. Here's everything that's going on. Depositions, evidence, emails, here it all is. So when someone tries to, lie, which, back in the day, you could just lie. You could just share your side of the story and be done with it. And now it's no, here's what actually happened. So yeah, Jeremy,
and he does that. He films his life.
Yeah,
he
shares
films his life.
Yeah, shares receipts. But of course, even though that protects you, it probably instigates the wrong type of person
Well, and they
because
like
people
to
don't want to
turn
be
it around
exposed.
and say, we just want him to leave us alone. It's like, well, what are you doing to him? Is the
Right.
question. And he's trying to show you that. So what happened was he went to the Florida court and he tried to get, first he sent them a cease and desist. He sent them a cease and desist letter that said, please stop. They had tried to get into, Lynette tried to get into one of his paid events for his subscribers. And he said she could come. And he said, and she wanted to bring her turtle. She has what she calls a tortoise rescue. And she said she wanted to bring a turtle for the fans. And he said that was fine. Then she asked him, could I bring a donation box? And he said, no, because this is a paid event for my subscribers. I'm not asking them for more money. And you're not asking them for money because that's not okay. That's when it all went bad. So then the threats, they started defaming him all over Facebook on different groups, saying horrible things. And so he sent them a cease and desist. They totally ignored it. They kept on doing what they were doing. So then he goes to the court in Florida. He tries to get an order of harassment against them. The court in Florida, it's unbelievable. They say, no, you need to have 2 incidences of violence, and then on the 3rd one, we act. That's what they told him. They literally told him, you have to basically be hurt 3 times before we do anything about this. So because he's a resident of Ohio, he went to an Ohio court, and he asked the Ohio judge for an order against them because they had reached into Ohio, started emailing his mayor and people in his town where he lived about what a bad person he is and all this garbage. So, the signs, I forgot about the signs. Thank you, Stacy. They put signs up. Well, he says they put signs up. Nobody knows yet who put the signs up all over town saying, Jeremy Hales is an ARPist. Jeremy Hales ARPed my baby. Yeah, for real. Like, Jeremy Hales, Ohio ARPist. All these signs. He picked up his friends picked up the signs.
The baby being their new adopted
Yes.
baby.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So of course they're denying that they wrote those signs. Jeremy says they did write the signs. So he went to an Ohio judge. The Ohio judge granted the order of protection, which is good in all 50 states. And he took that back to Florida and gave it to the sheriffs in Levy County. And they don't care. Every time these people violate the 500-foot order and Jeremy reports it, they pretend like it's no big deal. It didn't really happen. Oh, well, they have to go to the post office too. And it's like, well, but
these
a restraining
neighbors
order.
only moved there after he did. So they're
Yes.
not like in with the locals.
No, they moved there after he did. In 2021, I want to say.
Has he considered just moving? And again, I know that's like such a victim blaming thing here, but like, has he considered just getting out?
He finally has started considering that, yes, but he's put so much money into this operation that they have there. So anyway, he ended up suing them in federal court. After he got the harassment order in Ohio, she goes and files one in Florida against him, claiming all the things, claiming that he's making all these videos about her and he's cyberbullying and harassing her and coming after her baby, and her baby's going to be kidnapped and by Jeremy's crazy fans, which is of course ridiculous. But the judge, he just happens to get this judge who is out of his mind biased towards this woman, and he grants the harassment order, takes away his Second Amendment rights to protect himself, even though he's not the one who ever drew a gun at anybody. He wants his guns. He wants everything. And it was in place. It was supposed to be 15 days until they had a hearing. It goes on for 11 months because the hearing keeps getting pushed out, and she doesn't show up for a deposition, blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on. This judge was so biased. We covered the case on our channels, like Legal Vices did, I did, a lot of people did. That judge was so biased, he had to be removed by the appellate court for illegal behavior.
So Jeremy tries, he has to be the one to ask for a new judge, right? And they granted that. Is that how it went down?
Yep. 3 times they asked the judge to recuse himself. 3 times he said no. So they filed a writ of prohibition, an extraordinary writ with the appellate court. And they call it an extraordinary writ because it hardly ever happens. And the appellate court said, not only should he have removed himself after the second one, but surely after the 3rd request. And he has done unlawful things. So they removed him from the case. As soon as Jeremy got a new judge, Lynette dropped her case. She had no evidence that would show he was harassing her. So Jeremy filed in federal court a lawsuit against them for defamation, tortious interference, And now there's added counts. He has now added in the lawyer on her side who entered this case and told people he did it to get famous. He told me that. He told all kinds of people that he was doing it to get this pet case of his talked about on YouTube. We have an email from him.
And what's his name?
Bruce Matskin.
Okay, so that's this guy.
This
and I'm
guy
sharing
who
this,
wrote
I'm
to
sharing this minimally so people can't read it because I'm just not, But he writes to me, and he's basically begging me to cover this case.
Mm-hmm.
So he must understand I'm not going to flip on you guys. But if I do cover this, and I know, like, if you never covered Clayton, and I knew you were an objective, fair person, I'd say, Meg, cover this all you want. You don't have to be my friend. Like, I'm sure that if I look into this, I would come up to it with the same opinion that you have, because you guys are very reasonable people. And everyone I've talked to online that I've trusted as a reasonable person has covered this from the same perspective, which is how ridiculous it actually is. And to respond to someone's comment about how hard it must be to find 70 acres. Oh, I can't imagine. Interest rates are so high right now that if he did want to buy a new place, he would probably lose a great interest rate. It would probably only be able to find something half the size. Like, I totally empathize with that. I would never expect someone should just have to kick up and leave, because, to be quite honest, he could move somewhere and they could follow him, right? I mean, they could move to a new town if, not that I think that would happen, but, the psychology with these judges, and really with anybody, it's you have an opinion going in. Even if a judge is supposed to be impartial, right? They have an opinion. Everyone has an opinion. And the way confirmation bias works is your body will conspire to prove your opinion right. It takes a hell of a highly intellectual, smart person, or emotionally intellectual person to kind of ditch their opinion in pursuit of that evidence.
You could tell that the judge hated the fact he was a YouTuber. He was completely disdainful of Jeremy's profession. And
look, you see that in journalism with mainstream media. It's so bizarre. And I think it's because judges, just like mainstream media, they're all working for someone else, really. And YouTubers are kind of like entrepreneurial. You're working for yourself. I mean, there is something to be jealous about there. And this idea that a YouTuber would have any less level of intelligence, it's just like laughable.
Or less First Amendment rights. The judge curtailed his First Amendment rights. He ordered the most draconian harassment order I ever saw that said, not only, imagine a judge telling you this, Dave, about the Laura Owens v. Clayton Ecker case. Imagine a judge ordering you, if the harassment order had gone through, the one that Laura took out against you, right? The one she tried to get on you. Imagine the judge, not the one in California, not being as cool as he was, saying, I'm going to have to hear this because this is his First Amendment implications. But imagine a judge, without even hearing any evidence, ordering that not you nor anyone else who works on your show, including moderators that are unpaid, can use her name, can talk about this case, can say anything about it. Can you imagine?
Yeah. So now that judge is gone, other than it wasting a lot of his time, energy, resources, where does he stand now? Like, you had mentioned a thumbnail. This
yes.
is
okay. So
thumbnail issue. So
Jeremy
a thumbnail.
Files,
yeah, I was going to say a thumbnail, just to completely YouTube explain to people, is what sells a YouTube video. It is part of your title. It is the really most important part to see if someone will click. It is a title, a video, image, and all of that. You got a circle here. You got, it's like, all right, what's going to draw me in? There's a bag of cash. I'll watch that. So what did they say about thumbnails?
So after Jeremy filed his federal suit, this new lawyer, Bruce, comes into the case. He writes a response for Lynette, who was pro se in the federal case, to file, which is very unethical. You're not supposed to do that as a lawyer. You're either in the case or you're not in the case. You're not supposed to be writing motions for people to file. He then finds a lawyer, I think it was him, finds a Florida lawyer, because he's not a Florida lawyer, to file a lawsuit in state court. So not federal, but state court, against Jeremy Hales, Larry Foreman, DUI guy, DJ Radis, who's another YouTuber, and was there one other person? I think that's it. alleging that there's copyright violations in thumbnails they used in covering this story because his client's picture was used in the thumbnail. This has already been litigated, Dave. You can use pictures in thumbnails.
So it wasn't that the picture was a copyrighted picture. It was just
Mm-mm.
that it was their image.
Right. Just that it's her image. He's claiming that Jeremy's making money and other people are making money on her image, the one at the top.
So this is from yesterday. This is this is the couple that he's in the lawsuit with. So the claims are that he can't share their photos, and these are photos probably from court hearings.
Well, the one on the right is a mugshot.
Okay.
John's mugshot. So that one is
that's
obviously public.
Look.
And the
So
one on the
I can understand that you can't take that mugshot and sell merchandise.
No, you can't put it on a t-shirt, but you can
So
absolutely
is
for
the
news
claim
purposes.
that he's making money on YouTube and this is part of him making money on YouTube?
Yes. Yes.
So, but this would almost be like, now YouTube's like a multimedia version of a newspaper, right? So if you could then argue that in a newspaper, you couldn't share a photo of someone's mugshot because that also the newspaper profits.
No, you can. There's an exception for news. The law is literally written with an exception.
Right. Well, that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to make the correlation that you wouldn't be able to do that because what are you supposed to do? Never. So then you could never, like, if this were the case, you could never show
anybody's picture. That's right. You could never use it. Think about this. Alec Baldwin, he's in court, right? He was in court for the murder trial. That would mean that Court TV, nobody could use his image without paying him royalties. That would destroy the news business.
And then once they come for your image, they could also say, well, my image is copywritten or, is my brand, but so is my name. So you can't say my name without, and then you could just see that slippery slope where you can't even say anything.
Exactly. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to shut us up. And they think they can do it because we're YouTubers and we're not ABC or NBC. They would never go after NBC or ABC for this. This is ridiculous. But they're hoping they'll find another judge and they thought they were going to get Judge Grudge, DeThomasis, who got kicked off the other case. But he's had to recuse himself from this one too, because it involves Jeremy Hales, and he has already been proven by the appellate court to be biased against Jeremy Hales, so he has to get off the case. So they have Judge Davis now, who is a reasonable judge, and I'm sure it's going to be fine. He filed another suit. Bruce got the same lawyer, some guy by the name of Scott Stark, to file yet another lawsuit against some of Jeremy's employees and friends. Not Jeremy himself, but like we call him the Trespass Five, because they were called on Lynette had somebody living on her property in a trailer. He was an elderly vet who had broken his hip and was in hospice while he was working on getting better. And his trailer and his things were on her property, and he wanted to move because he said he was afraid she was going to steal his stuff and she was going to take the camper, and he needed to get off the property. So he asked Jeremy for help. He asked his friends to help take him because he wasn't there. He was in Ohio. He asked them to help Lloyd get his stuff off the property. They went there with a sheriff because they know better than to try and go on her property. And, because this is the whole thing. They know better than to try and do it on their own. They went with a sheriff's officer. The sheriff's officer oversaw the whole thing. They were wearing GoPros so that they weren't accused of anything, right? They don't want to be accused of doing anything wrong. They got his stuff off the property, and they are now being sued by the same lawyer came up with this idiotic idea that they can, including the sheriff, being sued for letting them come on the property and film for YouTube, as if it was just for YouTube and not to help Lloyd get his camper and his stuff off the property, and also to film themselves, so that they're not getting accused of anything. Imagine if they hadn't filmed, what she would be saying they did on her property. This is a woman who accuses people of all kinds of stuff. When Lloyd said he wanted to leave, she started accusing him of abusing her child.
This is the reason why I've updated my house to have more ring cam footage, because of a fear. And again, I'm not placing this into anyone's brain. This has been done so many times, but that you can just call CPS on somebody and have their baby taken away. I would,
except in this case, they've been there 28 times and apparently living in a shed with nails and broken glass and snakes everywhere. Is fine for them in Florida.
So I was talking to you a few days ago. I was in Costco. My wife was buying things she didn't need, and I'm like
As we
literally on.
all do in Costco.
And I was talking to you, and then I was watching the DUI Larry Foreman's kind of catch up on this case. And you said this is going to be going on pretty much all of 2025,
Yeah, the trial for the federal case is set in August.
and that's the
of tw-
defamation case.
That's the defamation case. There is a hearing on the thumbnail case happening in February 2nd or 5th or something, like first week of February is coming up. So that'll be interesting. I think the judge is going to hear the motion to dismiss that's pending. And I don't expect it to get much further than that. As far as the Trespass 5 case goes, I have not heard an update on any hearing for that. But we're talking about 3 lawsuits right now we're following in the Hales case. And it is just, it more and more is coming out every day. I just talked to another victim of theirs from Northport, Florida, Connie Bruni. And this was way before Jeremy Hales came into the picture. So nobody can blame Jeremy now for this story that Connie has about these two and how she had to send them a cease and desist too for the very same things. Defamation, for making defamatory statements on Facebook about her, making false claims that she attacked a disabled woman and her medically fragile child. This is the same thing this is the same story that they go with every time. Soon as somebody says to them, maybe you shouldn't have that child because for one, you can't afford it. And for two, it seems like, maybe you're not good parents. Maybe this isn't working out. She will immediately go to, I'm being attacked. You're attacking me and my medically ill child. How dare you attack my finances? Meanwhile, they're asking everybody on Facebook for money. So on one hand, they want their child to be public because they're putting her in all these GoFundMes and they're asking for money based on this child. On the other hand, if you say, I don't know about this, I think that there's something wrong here, suddenly you're the one with the problem.
Yeah, you look, I mean, like with the Laura case, like rub your dad's belly all day long or whatever the heck they have going on. Bring your dad with Parkinson's into it. But like a child, a baby, like, oh my gosh, it's just, and people that are like these types of people, they will use any tool they have, whether it's faking a black journalist or faking an Asian doctor or faking a Jewish agent or using your
We're
baby.
Going on and on about Rule 26. Did you hear my new button, by the way?
Hey, Rule 26 one more time, motherfucker.
Was that your voice? So this attorney, I want to ask your thoughts on this. I get an email from this attorney. I don't know the purpose. I'm busy with life. I've just kind of been like deer in the headlights covering my own case. And if I thought I could help you guys out, I would, but it just seems like you got like, it's almost like I'm in the bullpen if you need me, but clearly Tug's huge. You guys are big. Like this is your case. But then I'm like, now I kind of feel like I'm being baited to get involved. He emails me and tells me this lawyer in the Hales case, he contacted David Gingras to exchange sort of a case file on you.
Yeah.
What are your did you know
Isn't
that
something? I had a feeling. If you had asked me, I would have said.
I get this email, right? I get this email, and the first thing I'm going to do is, like, obviously, like he has to know this, right? Like the first thing I'm going to do is obviously share this with you because you've been good to me. You've been fair. You've been everything you want out of a friend, right? And like, I mean, I would never sit on this type of information, but at the same time, I was like, I don't even know what to do with it. I don't know what the hell he's saying. Because basically he was praising, and again, boy, if anyone sends me a compliment, I'm like, this guy's pretty smart. So he was praising me for my coverage over David Gingras. It's like, hey, thank you. That can be true. Appreciate it. But also criticizing you because of obviously like he's on the wrong side of what you got going on. So
manipulative.
I don't wish this on anybody having to have you as an enemy. I don't wish that on somebody.
You know what though? Here's the thing. Here's how manipulative it is. What he is doing and what he has been trying to do, he's contacting everybody I know. He's sending these emails to all the lawyers, any lawyer that I've ever streamed with, any person that I've ever streamed with. He's sending them what he's trying to do. And we have an email from him that says this because he sent it to somebody who sent it to us. that he is creating an anti-what the Hales media ecosystem. And that was a mistake, because that's the thing that is going to get him drawn into the federal lawsuit for defamation. He is now, there is a pending motion. The judge has to rule on it to add him as a defendant for what he did, for doing these sorts of things. This is not normal lawyer behavior. He is just like Gingras when it comes to behaving so crazy and doing PR. He's set up, so he found these little YouTube channels, people who have personal problems with Jeremy Hales for whatever reason. And he made an anti what the Hales media ecosystem. And they sit online 4 or 5 hours a day, just spreading the most ridiculous and defamatory lies about Jeremy Hales. And now one of them has been brought into it as well. The pending motion is bringing in one of these YouTubers and the lawyer who did this. And there's going to be more coming, because if I've learned anything about Jeremy Hales, it is that if he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. So if he says he's going to add you to a lawsuit, you're going to get served. And it's unbelievable that they keep going. They keep doing it.
Yeah. So I feel like the guy at the bar who goes out with his friends and his friends get in a fight and then someone throws a drink on me. So I feel like I'm involved now to an extent where I want to be able to, like, you know, because it's almost like when Gingras kind of was trying to metaphorically suck Omar's law degree, and he was like, yeah, you're good, you're not like them, and then Omar comes up with the educated opinion that Gingras is a quack, and then Gingras is like, you're dead to me. So it's like, well, what is it? Do you appreciate my opinion even when you're on the wrong side of it? No, of course, of course not. So I'm going to do my research, obviously, and kind of get more educated on this, because, you know, I don't want to waste anyone's time. But yeah, it seems like you've been a trusted source for all this information. And you know, like we've said before, you know, in the modern world, a lot of local newspapers have gone bankrupt, and this is the type of journalism that keeps people honest on a local level. It's like no one's covering the Clayton stuff. I mean, I can't even get, isn't that crazy? I'm just some quack in Nashville, and I can't even get the USA Today to cover their own market in Maricopa. Like they've done, God bless the dude who's covered the Clayton case, and God bless Bianca Buono. They've covered like twice in 14 months this story.
Yeah, you know what it is? Local news is on one hand, it's really still very good, as far as some of these local news people will get really big stories occasionally, and they'll do some really good work. But I think that because they have all these budget cuts and they're facing a lot of difficulties in that field, that they're not given carte blanche to go after something. You know, they have to have a certain quota that they have to keep up, and they have to kind of do this wide view. And they don't often have people dedicated to one story that this would require. As we know, it is such a, you know, the kid who did the couple of stories there locally, I mean, that's actually more than I expected what he did. It was more than I expected on a local level, because you would have to follow this the way we do, and you would have to be able to dedicate the time to it. And they really don't have that kind of time. They have very little staff, and they have to cover all local events. They have to do the local government stuff. And so I just don't think that they have the time to do it.
You know, which is why from the beginning I told Laura, I said, like, look, you're messing with the wrong guy. I've got so much time. Not only that, I moved
nothing but time.
I moved from a house with bad internet to a house with great internet. Like, this is not good for you that I've got good internet now, because I was using that third world country internet, T-Mobile stuff in LA. Now I've got carbon fiber. Like I'm like a race car, baby. Now, Amy has a great question. It says it's very telling that Laura Owens has no supporters like the Hales and Karen Reed or Richard Allen that was charged with the Delphi Indians murder. So yeah, my question for you is, why do you think, okay, put it this way, Laura Owens v. Clayton Echard, I would say it's 100% to 0. Effectively, she has 0 supporters that are not people on her payroll, even though she's not paying them. With the Hales, what's the ratio breakdown for public support?
So it's not good. I mean, the anti what the Hales media ecosystem has had the effect that was desired, which is that they're peeling off his supporters. They're turning his customers against him. They've made it so that he lost a couple of contracts. Like, they're doing real damage to his business, which is real problematic, because if with these, if they're lies, they're telling lies that are causing this. That's the definition of tortious interference and defamation.
All right, give me your ratio. Someone says 70-30. I hear 90-10.
I don't know how. I couldn't tell you. I would say that there's at least a couple hundred people who tune into these hate channels and join in on the dancing on Jeremy's grave thing. I think the majority of his audience is staying with him, but I think that it has the potential to smear his reputation. I think it has smeared his reputation in a lot of ways. And I will say that I think it's mostly based on, Clayton got lucky because he's not very successful. He didn't get very famous. I know that sounds terrible, but he didn't get very famous with the Bachelor thing. And so he's just a normal guy. Like at the end of the day, Clayton's just a normal guy. The Bachelor was like a blip, and he's just working like everybody else. He didn't get a podcast. He's not famous because of it. He didn't get a different show, right? That actually works in his favor because people see him as a normal kind of guy. They don't really see him as a celebrity. In Jeremy's case, he's very successful. He is an internet celebrity. No one feels sorry for Jeremy Hales. People like to see somebody like him get taken down a notch. Unfortunately, you climb up far enough, people like to knock you off. And I think,
geez, even with I've built a lot of good welfare in my community, and even with that, there are the haters that are like, "Good, glad you got sued. Good, glad you dealing with this." And you're like, I mean, you can't luckily it's a very small minority, and I've kind of kept them out of my life, but it's like, yeah, you see the damage that comes from people that I literally had trusted as friends that were at my own wedding that are like triggered by this, and they're like out. And I've had to reevaluate, like, have I gone too far? Have I been too loud? Have I been too obnoxious in my victory laps here, or is it justified? And for me, I think I'm lucky as a comedian where I can go on stage anywhere and tell jokes. I don't have contracts that can be fucked with. And some people can be fucked with. Like if you're the PS Creative Studio podcast, she can try to fuck with their studio ratings on Yelp or whatever, so like YouTube.
Yeah, like look at it that way. So the podcast, that's a good way to look at it. So the podcasting company, all it takes is one negative tweet about that podcasting studio to put a negative opinion in the minds of potential customers.
And you'll never know which customers you lost.
So how many people have Googled Jeremy Hales to maybe do a contract with him, and some of this stuff comes up about him being an ARPist?
Well, what's the contract? Like, what does he do?
He does, like for right now, he has contracts with Whatnot, which is an auction.
So you're talking about advertising deals.
That, or like, for instance, social media contracts. Like some of these bigger stars have social media contracts, we haven't heard the details yet in the suit, in the deposition. He wasn't answering questions. He didn't want to get into it. He said it was proprietary, and like, they're going to have to get an expert to look at this stuff. But
by the way, have you seen this? Have you seen
his Facebook presence is gone? He has no Facebook presence anymore, what is, oh yes, I've read.
I didn't know if this is public or if I'm just
It is.
Okay.
It is. Tug and I have been reading through this dramatic reading of the deposition, which is, it's very adversarial. And the reason why is because the lawyer who's asking Jeremy the questions is also defaming him, is part of this, has created the what the Hales media ecosystem. So when people look at it and they're like, man, Jeremy's really out of control, the things he's saying to this lawyer, it's like, you don't get it. This is the guy it's not like a normal lawyer. This lawyer is engaged in a campaign to destroy his life, and he knows it. So I think that the judge was not happy with the deposition. The judge slapped everybody involved and said, you're not going to do this anymore. I'll let you have 3 more hours of a deposition, but you're coming to Pensacola and you're doing it in my office. And if I have to, if I have to sit there and babysit you, I will, is basically what he said. And if I don't like what happens, I'll sanction everybody. So the judge is very serious. And I think that Jeremy let his, I think he let his emotion get away with him a little bit in the deposition. But Bruce didn't do himself any favors either, because he was asking stuff that is completely unrelated to the case, trying to dig into Jeremy's personal life, just baiting him, trying to instigate stuff. And the court saw that too. The court was like, this is not acceptable.
Well, on a personal level, how are you doing with the, I mean, the last year has been a lot. You've had multiple lawyers try to smear you, try to place you in boxes, lump you in with other people. Like,
I
give me
never worried about Gingras so much. I didn't think he was ever really going to follow through with his lawsuit stuff. Bruce, on the other hand, he's absolutely going to sue me. He has talked about it. He's going to sue me. He's going to sue Tug. He's going to sue. And here's what he's going for. You're going to love this. He is going to try and trump up RICO charges against YouTubers covering this case, who covered it unfavorably to his clients. He is going to say his argument is that we are doing cyber harassment under the guise of journalism, and that we have a coordinated campaign with Jeremy Hales to wreck his client's life for YouTube hits and for money. It's absurd. It will not go anywhere, but he can cost me a ton of problems. He's going to try. Court cases can bankrupt you.
Well, my hope for you, and we're here to support you guys. But my hope is that you can find so much success on YouTube that it's not a financial hit to fight it. But I understand, man, like, obviously, like, with the threats that I had, it's like, gosh, it's not, the threats are never, you never have a rational reaction to them. It just triggers something in you that's like, makes you just, it's very primitive. It's a very, very bizarre thing. So
yeah, the fight or flight thing, the adrenaline spike that happens, it's no fun.
And what I've learned is when you're kind of covering, like, you're advocating for somebody else. And what I've learned is when you're advocating for somebody else, a lot of times people don't ask you how you're doing. So are you good? Other than
I am good. I am good. It bothered me in the beginning because he was so aggressive and very rude to me. I mean, he would send me email. He was stalking me. He was stalking my chats. He was harassing me. And I told him, this is harassing. If you're going to sue me, then do it. But otherwise, shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear about it anymore.
Right. At some point, it's like, shit or get off the pot, guy.
Right. You stop threatening me. Stop sending me emails. I don't want to hear from you. He did not listen. He continues to send emails, and he tries to threaten me through third parties, like by sending you that email and sending other people that I know similar emails. But while it bothered me at first, there was a moment where all of it ceased to bother me. And it is now, it's going to, whatever happens, but I know that I'm right. I know that I'm in the right. I know that Jeremy Hales is being harassed by these people. And I know that there is a conspiracy, and that conspiracy isn't over here. That conspiracy is being orchestrated by Bruce Matskin, the attorney. It's being orchestrated by him. I have emails to prove it. We have a witness, Shara Wolf, who just did a deposition. She was part of that team for a while, and she has now testified that this was an organized plot by him. So I'm not concerned. The conspiracy is on that side, to defame and destroy somebody's life on YouTube because they're jealous of his success, jealous of his fame. And the facts bear it out. And I have always been someone like you, Dave. I'm interested in what's true. If I found through this investigation, because I just met Jeremy Hales when the case started. I don't know this guy from, I didn't know him. If I found out while I was investigating this that Jeremy was the real monster here, there was nothing stopping me from saying, well, these people are all crap and they all deserve what they get.
Right. I mean,
that is not what happened.
Yeah, there's no bias that you have to like pick one side versus the other. It's like me covering the Clayton Eckert stuff. If he was in the wrong, YouTube pays me regardless.
Right.
And
you would say so. You would be like, well, look what we found today. Like, there's some text messages that he admitted to actually having sex with her, and, whatever it was, you would tell it. And so would I. I mean, I have no obligation to Jeremy Hales to be on his side. I do have an opinion on this case that's based on what I have seen, what I have witnessed, both in court and the litigant's behavior and the truth and the witnesses that have come out. And none of it is on Lynette and John's side. None of it. It's all Jeremy Hales is telling the truth. And I see why people believe that he is that he could be exaggerating things because he's a YouTuber and he's great at the clickbait and he's really good at getting people to click on stuff. So I understand why people have that concern. But that's not what's happening here. His life is being destroyed by somebody who decided to do this to him. And just because he's a YouTuber, Dave, it's scary. What if this happened to you? What if it happened to me? I would want people to believe me that this is happening.
And to think that you could roll the dice and get a judge who just thinks of YouTubers like Logan Paul, like there's obviously like there was a connotation with YouTubers. I see that as so long gone. I get most of my news from YouTubers, and like there's so much great journalism on YouTube, and there's so much. I mean, I watch my Bigfoot documentaries. I mean, YouTube's it's everything, right? It's the greatest platform in the world. So I see it that way, but for those people that see the guy with a selfie going, "What up, fam?" And there are YouTubers that have done prank videos where they harass people. Like that does exist, but like hopefully judges can understand what the difference is. Sadly, I think if you find a judge who's a little older, you're going to risk the chance that you're going to get a judge duty who doesn't even know what a timestamp is.
Who's looking at the screen like what I mean? This? What am I seeing here?
You can flip it, and he's like, I'm watching porno, but it's coming up.
I can't. It's flipped the wrong way. How do I know?
By the way, I noticed you had a new relatively new microphone there. You look like you've really getting professional.
It's been a couple of months. Sure gifted it to me a while back, which was super nice of them.
Whoa! Look at you.
I happen to have a Shure rep who's in my audience who likes me, so she sends me things. She sent me these headphones too, which I really like these. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you moved. See, I moved away from my Shure headphones because everyone did these. I'm behind on the times.
Those squish my hair. They squish my hair. They're not hair friendly, but I do prefer the over the ears because they're more comfortable. Because these start to hurt after a while.
You should come out with a hair friendly microphone or headphone line that can possibly have some good branding in there. But we'll do that after we do our Hanukkah socks.
We should definitely sell some Hanukkah socks.
I need to know where my Jewish audience members, if we could come up with some dreidel Santa socks, we'll really have something. I got to get going and get on Patreon and work on the podcast and all that jazz. But I think I'm going to start trying to stick to a Friday live stream schedule. I personally enjoy live streams more than making videos, but video it's a different beast. It's like, they hit different algorithms, but I'm just looking for ways to still maintain my friendships. And if you're covering Hales, I guess I have to jump onto it.
It's very funny. And in fact, what you'd really love Jeremy, by the way, he has such a great sense of humor. So speaking of Hanukkah socks, so in this case, Bruce's big, I don't know if he mentioned it in your email, but his big case that he wants everyone to cover is called his mac and cheese scandal case. And it's really boring. We tried to look at it, and it was so boring. It was like, no one's going to care about this. And that's what pissed him off. None of us had him on our shows to talk about his macaroni and cheese scandal. So he decided to sue us to get back at us for not having him on.
I love mac and cheese, so I'll take a look at the noodle.
Jeremy's so funny. He'll make stuff. He'll make things to sell on Whatnot based on the crazy shit that happens in this case. So the latest, I bought one. I couldn't help myself. The latest one, they made what was called a junior lawyer notebook set. It's how to pass the bar. It's just a notebook with a caricature of a silly looking lawyer. And the handle is made out of macaroni, dried macaroni. I love it. I love it so much. I ordered one on his Whatnot auction.
I don't have time to get into it, but are you going to be covering Luigi Mangione's trial?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
I haven't decided. Is it going to be televised or is it federal court?
I don't know, but it's going to be interesting. I think it'll be interesting. But I would love to cover more of this. I mean, I'm not a true crime. I'm not a law tube person, but it's kind of like it makes for good conversation.
It does. It does, for sure. There's a couple of different lawsuits I'm looking at right now. One is there's one in the gamer world that's going on that Ron Coleman just took on. I think it's a defamation case. And then there's another one, Dr. Joe Corcoran from the J Hatch case against, for Maya Kowalski's case against J Hatch. He was their star witness. it looks like he's been retaliated against for testifying in that case by his medical community, and they wrongfully fired him, perhaps. So there's a lawsuit there that I'm looking at. I haven't read through yet, but I may cover that.
Yeah, I get why Emily D. Baker doesn't want to cover something, because I get if you're in so deep on one, how do you go into something else? I like, as you know, I'm writing my my one-man show right now, and I'm doing it at night when everyone else is sleeping. And I it's so easy. I have to like tell myself to go to bed at 3 a.m. Like I can't stop putting it all together. And that's why I'm uncovering all these old documents that look differently, because I'm seeing them from more of a fraudulent light now. And I don't know how I'm going to do this I was going to do an hour show. I don't even know, a lot of stand-up clubs will book 2-hour time slots. And I'm like, this is going to be I'll probably do like a 90-minute show plus a Q&A or something. I mean, there's just so much.
You're gonna need an intermission with breadsticks to sustain everyone.
Oh, we're gonna have scones under people's seats. It's gonna be a whole thing. Well, look, thanks for jumping on, and stay in touch, and I'll let you know if I have any updates for you. But I appreciate you taking the time to kind of catch me up on all that.
No problem. Take care, guys.
All right, see you later. Megan Fox, everybody. I'm going to read a few super chats and then get out of here. I will be going straight to the Patreon only live stream, and I will be talking about some more information. Someone just sent me several responses from Gingras. We will try to discuss these on the Patreon, although maybe a little light today, but he left some interesting comments regarding why he doesn't think Mike Maricini is a victim and things like that. So we'll try to cover some of this, but I will be going directly onto the Patreon after your super chats, because I have to record the podcast, and then I'm doing somebody's Bravo channel podcast. So lots going on. Kel, and I know I'm a little late on this, so thanks so much for everything. Kelso said, have you ever had to go to court for any of Laura's fake legal allegations? Well, she dismissed her case against me 8 hours before I was supposed to be in court. So I did not have to go to court per se for that. Cat Lady Ballerina, $5. In the casita whisper, the pony is serving up info. Yeah, the ponies, the miniature pony is my source. Kitty Meow, $10 says Megan and Tug sent me. Oh, that's so kind. Thank you so much. And Tiffany, $5. She has chronic womp womp. And then Cat Lady, $5. There are threats against Jeremy's life as well. They are soliciting for a hitman. Yeah, that's absolutely insane. Lauren, our good pal Lauren. Oh, thanks, Lauren. You don't have to give me any. Come on, Lauren. I'm going to refund that. Says Megan said hair. Thank you for the $2. So if there's any other super chats, now's your chance to get them in. Otherwise, we're going to get out of here. Elaine said, Dave, I've been locked out of Patreon for a few weeks. Help. I messaged you on Instagram. Oh my gosh, Elaine, how the hell have you been locked out of Patreon? Yeah, we're going to have to figure this out. Not right now. I get a lot of questions about tech support. Have you tried, and I'm not saying this is you, but so many people have multiple emails. Have you tried that? You might have to end your membership and then resubmit. I do have a lot of Cat Ladies followers. Yes, but if anyhow, well, what do you guys think? Should I cover the What the Hales case? Is that something I should get into? I'm happy to be fair about it. Now, sadly, there's so much I have to kind of catch up on. Madeline said, what is the tea? The tea is, okay, here's what I have. Oh, great. Thanks for reminding me. The thing that I shared with Meg is that there are sources that are, hold on, let me think about how to say this. There are sources that are saying that the family financial situation is way more dire, which, to be quite honest, I don't wish financial issues on anybody. I would hate that they're what should be, they should have several generations worth of money. I would hate that she possibly wasted that effing around with her family's money. If that's the case, I don't know if she effed around with it. Maybe the dad's had, there's been rumors of gambling problems. Yeah, it's a very sad story. Oh, fire in your building. That's terrible. Any chance to add someone to the gifting offer? Send me a DM. I think people have maximized their gifts. But it's so hard when you take our audience. We have 80,000 people, and so many people wanted to nominate friends that aren't in our audience, and we're just trying to help as much as we. And like, I would never turn anyone down, but like, the first 5 people we promoted got more gifts than the last 5. You just kind of know, like, people that can donate have donated. But send me a DM. So Donna says, cover what the Hales. Purple Giraffe says no. Floramonde says, I want Hanukkah socks. Amy says, I'd love for you to cover what the Hales that easy. I can understand what's going on better. Yeah. Maybe it's going to be around for a while, so I'd like to get acclimated with it. All right, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to take off from here, and I'm going to go on Patreon literally right now. I am so jammed for time that I can't look into why Patreon. Here's the problem. I know I can't help you if you have a Patreon issue, because I don't have access to any of the information that can help you. What I can do is give you a refund if you can't access it. But try signing out, try restarting your computer, try blowing on it, read it poetry. If that doesn't work, delete your account and reapply your account. Stephanie, that's very kind. Samantha said, cover Luigi. I'm definitely going to cover Luigi. I'm going to cover Luigi, and I have been covering it on the podcast. So Rush Hour podcast with Dave Neal. I have been covering it, and I will have updated stories today. I actually have to go because I only have 68 minutes to make a podcast. So I'm going to go take care of that. I'll be on Patreon starting in 1 minute. We'll see. Oh, and thank you guys so much for making this extremely successful. I appreciate everyone who tuned in today. Luis, you're too kind. Thanks. I'm blushing. All right. I'll see you on Patreon. Bye.